Aloha, awesome people, and welcome to another Pokemon Sun and Moon podcast discussion video in regards to the recent Pokemon Sun and Moon news on June 2nd, 2016. So I'm currently recording this on the 3rd of June since we did get the news pretty late here in Australia. Alrighty, so this one was focused more on the legendary Pokemon for Sun and Moon. So let's cover that topic first before we go into any of my other thoughts that we saw in the not one trailer, but 8 trailers in total. I'd say one main trailer, but the other 7 were like teaser trailers. Alright, so there was 2 big things that happened tonight in the news. So as I said, we're first going to cover the legendary. So for Pokemon Sun, our legendary is by the name of Solgaleo. So before I go any further, I am really sorry if I butcher these names. You all know me pretty well by now. I'm part dyslexic and at the same time I'm terrible with names. So yeah, we got Solgaleo, which is going to be Psychic and Steel. That definitely blew me out the water. I was honestly expecting to be Psychic Fire. I got one part of it right, but I definitely didn't expect Steel. So I can kind of see why it's now Steel type now, because honestly I thought that White was going to be like all fur, so obviously something like Pyro or something, but no, it's a Steel type, so it's gonna be fun regardless to go up against. So yeah, it's gonna be Psychic Steel, so it's weak to Dark, Fire, Ground, and Ghost. Funny enough, it's gonna be weak to Fire. That's strange. It's a Sun legendary, but it's weak to Fire. I don't quite understand that logic. Oh, anyways, its ability is going to be Full Metal Body. That sounds really badass, but when you think about it, it's pretty much just a glorified clear body. It negates stat drops, either by an ability like Intimidate or by a move. For example, like Growl, it won't be able to drop its attack or anything. So yeah, it's just a glorified clear body, but with a really awesome name. I love how Game Freak has done that. That's, as I said, it's a really cool name, but it's a disappointment when you figure out what it actually does. And its signature move is Sun Steel Strike, which is actually quite interesting because they showed it using it against a Salamence. Now, normally, well, it looked like a Fire-type move, but the funny thing was, it was neutral to Salamence. So does this mean we're going to get a dual-type move for these legendaries? So, judging by the name Sun Steel, it's obviously leading towards Steel Fire dual-type move. Kind of like Flying Press with Hulauncha being flying and fighting. So, that'd be really cool. I mean, if it's a dual-type move, it's definitely going to be neutral to Salamence. But it's hard to say because, as I said, it was neutral. And if it was Steel Fire, then it still would mean... I'm not really sure, actually. I'm assuming it'd still be neutral because I never really use Flying Press that much, so I'm not really too sure how the dual-type mechanics actually work. I'm sure someone will be able to explain that to me in the comments section below, but it is still interesting. That's something to keep in mind that it was neutral. So anyways, let's move over to the Moon Legendary, which was Lunala, something like that. As I said, you all know I'm dreadful with names. So anyways, that is going to be Psychic Ghost. Now, I did predict both these Pokemon were going to be Psychic because Game Freak is boring with their legendaries, but I definitely didn't expect Ghost. It would have been probably my second guess because my first guess was Dark. So, because I associate Dark with Moon and all that. But yeah, Ghost type, that definitely, as I said, both of these kind of blew me out the water. That was very interesting. Its ability is going to be Shadow Shield, which again is another glorified multiscale. Takes less damage when the Pokemon has full HP. So again, another cool sounding ability, but when you look at the mechanics, it's just another glorified ability. So yeah, there's a good chance that this Pokemon may be quite bulky if it's got the ability multiscale. I'm just thinking back to Dragonite, which is one Pokemon that has multiscale, and there's also Lugia, who also gets multiscale as well. So they're both relatively tanky Pokemon as well. So it's kind of make me thinking that Lulea is going to be quite tanky as well, but I could be wrong there. We'll have to definitely wait until we finally get some official stats and all that for these Pokemon too. Its signature move is Moongeist Beam. I feel I definitely butchered that one, so when they used this move, it was super effective against a Gengar. So does this mean it's going to be a Psychic type move? I'm also getting this little bit of an iffy feeling since Moon, like we had Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam as well, like just aiming towards Moonblast. That was a fairy type move, so since we got Moon Geast, focused on the moon there, does that mean it's going to be a dual type as well, Fairy Psychic? As I said, it'd be really cool to see the dual typing moves come into play, so it does give a bit more of a uniqueness to competitive battle as well, so it will be very interesting to see what these types end up being, what these moves end up being. So as for Lulea, it's going to be 4 times weak to Dark and Ghost, which is what made me think that this Pokemon is going to be somewhat on the strong side somewhere, to having so many weaknesses. If you think back to Hooper, they had to give it a few weaknesses due to its stats and all that, and at the same time I don't blame them because that thing is annoying to go up against an unbound form, but at the same time it is immune to normal and fighting, and I'm pretty sure it's weak to Bug as well off the top of my head, so that's cool. It's got a few weaknesses at least. It's either going to have very good attack stat or something for it to have that 4 times weakness in 2 areas, or it's just going to be an easy Pokemon to take out. That's probably going to be my guesses for now. But that's all we really found out about the Legendaries tonight, was their name, their ability, their signature move, and their typing. That was it. So, having said that, let's go on to the second big news that hit us tonight, and that is Rotom hype! We have not had any Rotom stuff happening since 4th gen. In 4th generation, we had Rotom introduced in Diamond and Pearl, and in Platinum, we were introduced to Rotom's forms. And that was like mind-boggling at the time, because if you go back now and you play Platinum or Heart Gold or Silver and you have the Rotom forms and transfer them to Pokemon Battle Revolution, which is what I've been doing quite a lot recently, the forms don't work, which kinda sucks. So yeah, this is really cool, and at the same time as well, I forgot on the train of thought there, Rotom was originally Ghost Electric, so with this particular Rotom Pokedex, is that going to make an homage back to the original Rotom? For those who do remember back then, the Rotom forms were originally the Ghost types as well, and they didn't actually go Electric Grass, Electric Ice, etc. They were all Ghost Electric. So never actually took that extra type, and until I think it was like 5th gen or something, they actually ended up doing that. So yeah, I got a funny feeling that this form is going to be an Electric Ghost to pay homage back to that old typing that Rotom forms used to have. Or is it just going to be a glorified Pokedex skin? I really hope not, because that sounds really cool. Like, I am pretty excited for Rotom Pokedex. Personally, I am kind of want a Rotom toasted personally, so it can make me food. So yeah, like, what do you guys think about the Rotom? Like, what type do you think it's going to be, or what exactly do you think it's going to do? And while I'm on the topic of Pokedex, when in one of the small trailers that we had for, like, this is with all the extra stuff that we had for the Sun and Moon news, there was a little bit that went through and showed what the Pokedex looked like when you opened it up. Now, it was really interesting because it showed the Alola region, which is what we were shown in the main trailer, and then the second slot is showing Mili, which is the Japanese name. Wow, I definitely feel I really butchered that one. It's going to be that name as the second slot. And then there's 3 extra slots after that. Now, does that mean that there's going to be, like, will the Mili Pokedex be one of the islands that they showed on the map? Or is this going to be leading to another region similar to what that we saw in Pokemon X and Y with the Kalos region? This is very interesting. Like, I actually thought this was pretty cool. So does that mean the islands are going to have separate Pokedexes, or is there going to be extra islands, considering that what are we going to do with 4 islands? There's 8 gyms, unless they're going to put 2 gyms on one island, who knows. But also on the map as well, like if you're looking towards the clouds, it looks like there's going to be more islands towards that way, and they're just kind of fogging out that bit so they can focus on that region on a future teaser trailer or something. Like, who knows? It's still, as I said, it's pretty much still everything up in the open here. Like, we're still in the dark for a lot of things, but at the moment this is really cool. So giving us a bit of an insight, and probably if it is based on islands, we just have our first Japanese name for one of the islands, which will eventually get an English name, as we all know. Alrighty, so that's pretty much all that for the Pokedex. Also, one thing as well, in the Pokedex trailer, teaser trailer as well, on the bottom screen they actually show a map. Now this is very similar to what they had in Yokai, and I only played that for 5 minutes before I got bored. The map is very similar to that one. I will admit though, Yokai had a pretty interesting map, and it's actually used quite a lot in a lot of 3DS games from what I can remember. It may have also been used in Pokemon Ranger, if I recall correctly. I could be completely wrong there. So yeah, it basically shows the trainer, which is the yellow dot as you see on the screen at the moment, and it shows any objectives. So I'm assuming the flag is going to be like where you've been told to go when something happens, or any cutscenes. So that is really cool. So we're going to have a bit more of an interactive map, it seems. I really hope it is, because that means more interactivity. Right, so now we've got some more minor details to talk about. So we have Professor Kukui. Kukui, that sounds really weird, and the way I've just pronounced it, Kukui. I really hope I pronounced that right. That sounds weird. It looks right though, the way I pronounced it. But anyways, he's got an assistant by Lile. Again, hope I pronounced that right, because the Hawaiians have a weird way of saying names sometimes. So we found out about that. So now there's like mystery as this, like who exactly is this Lile? Is she more than just the Pokemon Professor's assistant, or is she something else? So in the last 2 gens, 5th gen and 6th gen, we've had 2 rivals. We've had a friend and the wow, I can't talk. Pokemon Professor's assistant traveling along with us. And not only that, we had that back in 3rd gen and 4th gen, now that I think about it as well. But they weren't technically known as rivals, they were just known as assistants that popped out now and again and battled you. So is it going to be something like that, or is she going to be actual rival? That's the thing. Is she going to have some type of secret plot twist, or is she some secret spy working for the enemy or something? We don't know. Like, they say mysterious assistant, so is that going to be like foreshadowing something? Now I'm really excited. I want to know now. Also, we get the name of our rival or / friend. I'm assuming he's going to be our rival, and that is going to be How. That's what it was in the Japanese name, and I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it in English as well. Okay, so that seems to be all the fine detail out the way. Now let's go into a few things that I wanted to point out in regards to like graphics and all that. So one thing I mentioned in my last Pokédex was I pointed out a unknown Pokemon that was on the overworld. We don't exactly know what it is. It looked like a dog. People are saying it could be another Eevee evolution. As I pointed out in one of my previous podcasts, it seems a little bit too early for Eevee evolutions, so I'm a bit skeptical on that one. I'm definitely open about another normal type Pokemon though being on the overworld. But anyways, in the shorts as well, we saw in the background when you're in Professor Kukui's laboratory, which I'm assuming is what it is, in the background you can see Love-Disc and Cressola in the aquarium. And at the same time as well, there's another shot, I'm not really too sure which one it was from, there was like Slowpoke on the beach. And I'm pretty sure there's been like other ones as well. You might be able to see Pokemon flying around and all that. So yes, it looks like my wish has come true. We're going to have more Pokemon in the overworld, making it seem more quite realistic as like the Pokemon are actually there, which is really cool. So hopefully they do keep to that tradition and expand this out quite a bit. So I'd really like to see that. As I said, I'd like them to take it even further and have walking Pokemon. But again, I kind of feel that one's definitely pushing it. And at the same time as well, I go back to the beach as well with the Pokemon and trainers on the beach. There was like people sunbathing and all that, and I think some of them were walking around too. So they're really trying to create this more realistic living world. So instead of it being like a flat 2D and very lifeless environment, it now looks like it's got a lot more life and a lot more vibrant too, which is really cool. And that's something I've been wanting for quite some time, is for them to make the world seem like it's got some life. which is awesome. So now it makes it easier to imagine what the Pokemon world actually would feel like if it actually existed. Okay, dokie, so let's go on with some battle stuff because, as a lot of people know if they watched my previous podcast, I am now extremely excited for the battle system. I'm a huge fan of Pokemon Battle Revolution, and I'm a huge fan of Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, and as well as Colosseum and Gale of Darkness, which did an excellent job with their battle systems, bringing it to life to 3D. And I really do feel Pokemon Sun and Moon is going to be the first handheld that achieves this feeling very similar to those games. So again, we got more shots of trainers summoning the 3 starters. And again, we do not see the circle patch that appears underneath the Pokemon when summoned. And I'm pretty sure this may have been stayed true when they showed off the Pokemon's abilities for Solago and Salamence, as well as Gengar and Luna? I'm never going to be able to pronounce that right. So yeah, I not once saw like a patch of grass or anything underneath them. It's just blank ground with a shadow underneath it, which is really cool. So that seems like it's gone, which is awesome. I don't know why it bothered me so much, but it's just really cool not seeing it there. I never knew I would enjoy that. Alright, so that's the first thing I want to point out. The second thing I wanted to point out was we did get a bit of a glimpse into what the opening scenes will look like when we battle the trainers. So they kind of do like the little thing, like we saw Hal go into battle. We get like the whole flashy intro similar to what we had in Pokemon X and Y and Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. We get how many Pokemon that's shown, what their name is, yada yada yada, and then they summon their Pokemon, etc. And again, they're still on the field behind their Pokemon, very similar to Pokemon Battle Revolution, Colosseum, and Gale of Darkness on the GameCube as well. Now, another thing I definitely wanted to show you guys was what the actual battle scenes look like with the health bars, experience bars, how abilities pop up on the screen, etc. Now, this looks really cool. This is definitely the most clean looking battle thing we've had so far. The health bars look very minimalistic, like no more boxes or anything. It's just a paintbrush stroke in the background. Same with the abilities, they've got the paintbrush stroke as well. Just keeping it really simple, so not so much that we're paying so much attention to the health bars with the boxes, so they're like really in your face. They're kind of just sitting there enough for you to know that they're there and focusing more on the battle, it seems like. So that is definitely welcomed in my eyes. Nothing worse than a big box in the road, isn't there? It's hard to explain like how I actually feel about this. Like, I definitely really do welcome this with open arms, and it does say game footage, not final, but I'm hoping that's what they stick with, because I really like how minimalistic it is. Everything looks so clean. It's so pretty. I'm going to leave this because I feel I'm definitely going to butcher what I'm going to say. But at the same time, we also have a bit as well showing what the actual text looks like when it pops up on the screen. I have like one in Japanese and one, I think, in English as well. Alrighty, so is there anything else I need to talk about? Yes, I do. In regards to how we're traveling around these islands, so we see plenty of boats on the map when we take a look at the Alola region. So you can kind of see on the image here, there's like little boats flying around. And another thing that's really striking out to me is in the center of the islands, that is not an island, that's man-made. That, I want to hope that's a Pokemon League. Like, I'm thinking it has to be something important. Like, my thoughts were Pokemon League, Battle Tower, or the villain's base. If it's the villain's base, then wow, they definitely want to get caught, don't they? It has to be some type of cover though, if it's going to be the base, the villain's base. But that could be anything there as well. But the one thing I really wanted to get at was, I'm kind of hoping they bring back something similar to the soaring mechanic in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire with the Eon Flute and the Latios and Latios. One thing I'd really like to see brought into this is something like the Eon Flute, but instead of calling, well, they could call a flying type Pokemon that soar you around in the sky. That would be cool to bring that back. Just like floating over islands or something, soaring around the island. You might be able to get some mirage spots around there or something. But the other thing I want to get brought into the game is something that allows you to travel on the ocean with the Pokemon as well. So not only just flying in the sky, but also float in the ocean as well. floating on the ocean. That's not what I was supposed to say. Surfing on the ocean. I am really tired, if you can't tell. I've been working all day. Another thing as well, before I was recording this, I've had a few people tell me, Ho-Oh and Lugia confirmed because there's like a tower similar to the brass tower in Pokemon Gold and Silver. Now, I've squinted at this for about 10 minutes. I can kind of see why people are thinking that, but at the same time, if this is a next generation, it seems weird that we're going to put the previous generation Pokemon in there. I would probably say that this is going to be either a gym, or it's going to be home to another legendary. That's going to be my thoughts on it. As for Lugia, I can't really see where Lugia could be. But that's the thing, like, if it is going to a new gen, I can't see Game Freak throwing them in there. Other than that, if it is going back to something like X and Y, that could be a possibility. But as I said, I don't really want to judge into that until we get more info into it. I mean, I guess it'd be kind of cool, but if they're going to do that, I'd like to see the other legendaries return as well. So then we have more access to legendaries, which is really cool for competitive, soft reset for them. And then we don't have people needing to like transfer between Sun and Moon, Pokemon and Mega Ruby up to Sapphire using Pokebank going on to Sun and Moon. Which is going to be a pain because I know a lot of people don't have Pokebank and sometimes can't afford $5 to keep it going for a year. Which is going to be the main method between trading for Sun and Moon and Omega Ruby up for Sapphire. So if they do bring back more legendaries, it would cut out that idea of needing Pokebank then. But if we're going on to 7th gen, it's not very often we have access to all these Pokemon to begin with. I mean, that would be really cool. That'd definitely answer one of my wishes I had in the previous podcast. So yeah, that's the thing. So other than that, there's really nothing else I can really talk about. There's nothing for me to really research about. I mean, just a bit after the whole thing went live, I did do a few chats with a few people in the Pip Night live chat, and we went through like what the Sun Legendary was called. We had Solgaleo, which is Solar, Leo, and Galileo. And as for Lunalia, obviously we have Luna, and then Wing, which is what Ala means in Spanish and Latin, so that's be what the two legendary Pokemon are based on. As for their origins, I still have no idea. I could be right about the Moon Legendary being based on the man-eating spirit of Hawaii. I'm a little bit skeptical now about the Sun Legendary being based on the Crouching Lion, dare I say. It was a really cool theory, but I think it's now been debunked. Which is sad. As I said, I really did like that legend. Also as well, someone on the chat pointed out that we had GA in Solgaleo, and we also had I think it was like LA as well, for like starting to build up Galaxy, going along the lines of astrological. I mean, we could have the third legendary being starting with XY or something like XY in their name. That would be really cool. I mean, I did point out Xerneas and Yvantal, but I think that might be pushing it a little too far. So yeah, we'll try to figure out what the third legendary might be. And as I said, I'd be disappointed if the third legendary wasn't a Pokemon based on the Eclipse. So we had Solar Eclipse and Lunar Eclipse. If they don't base Legendary on that, please base what the villain's going to do based on the Solar and Lunar Eclipse. That would make me really happy. Other than that, I think I'm pretty much out. So the next bunch of news we're getting for Pokemon Sun and Moon will be at E3 at Nintendo's Treehouse, I do believe, which is June 14th. So hopefully then I have a little bit more to talk about. So for this one, I didn't really need to do that much research because everything was just given to me, which was what I really do enjoy, because researching is a pain and it's so exhausting, especially when you already got on top of that 12 hours at work as well. So you can kind of see why I'm so tired at the moment. So anyways, guys, that's going to be it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys are now hyped for Rotom, the Legendaries, and hopefully this game. As I said, this game is probably going to be really good, and it's just a shame of giving away quite a lot of news. So yeah, until next time, this is Lady KrimZen saying ciao for now, but not forever. Ciao!